The one where it's like, ooh, 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 I've been for you.
Oh yeah,
How
yeah, I do
do
like that one.
lovers do?
Ooh,
Do.
ooh, ooh, ooh,
Hey,
ooh.
hey now, baby. I hate Maroon 5, but that is a catchy tune.
You say you hate Maroon 5, but I would argue that they're one of the best pop bands of the last 2 decades.
I'd argue that they're one of the biggest sellouts of the past few decades. Oh,
Why?
pop music sells. F guitar riffs. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, but songs about Jane is hardly rock and roll, is it?
This
When
love
it gets
has
cold outside.
told on me. She said goodbye. No, I'm not keen. Not keen. But I do like that one. That song, like Sugar, that's got like 1 billion views on YouTube.
Yeah, Adam Levine is really popular. Did you know that when they go on tour, all the profits of their tour gets given to charity?
How do they make any money then?
How cool is that?
But how do they make money then?
From record sales and sponsorships and ads.
I don't think that's true. I don't think anyone buys their
It's,
albums.
it's true.
I think you're lying.
It's true. Colin, welcome to episode 212
Oh
of
yes,
the
hi,
Handheld.
hi, hi, hello,
This
hi,
is
hi.
the internet's premium handheld gaming podcast dedicated to all things handheld games, whether that be your mobile telecommunications device, your Nintendo Switch device, your PlayStation Portable or Vita or PSP Go device, your Nintendo DS or 3DS device. What have you been playing this week?
Can I give a shout out to an app I've downloaded called Dumb Ways to Die Free? Now, are you familiar with Dumb Ways to Die?
I know the name. I think I
Well,
might have played it on PSP.
I don't know if it's. I thought it was just a mobile game, but maybe.
Maybe.
It's basically it's just a load. Well, the original two were just a load of mini games, and it was like it's a bit like Happy Tree Friends. Did you ever watch Happy Tree Friends? Where it's like cuddly, colorful little characters, and if you f up on the mini game, they die in horrific ways. But it's a bit more tongue in cheek than Happy Tree Friends. It's very funny. The mini games are really fun, really addictive, and there was like a time like as you went through the mini games, they got quicker and quicker, and they repeated. There's a bit like Frobisher Says as well on Vita fame.
Frobisher Says.
Frobisher Says, scratch my back, that sort of stuff. So I was a big fan of Dumb Ways to Die. The first one was great. The second one wasn't as big a fan. It was all right, but they tried to change it up a little bit by making a town or a train. It was very odd. But the third one's been released, and it must be about 5 years since the original came out because it's been a long time since I've last played it. So I downloaded it to give it a go because big fan for the original one. I have to say, I've only played a little bit of it, and it's very disappointing at the moment. I don't know what they've tried to do. Well, I know what they've tried to do. They're trying a different model of trying to encourage people to spend real money on it because you start the game, there's a map, the whole town is on fire, and you've got to tap on houses to extinguish the fire, and you have to use, I think, coins or something, some sort of currency that you acquire by doing the mini games to get rid of these fires. The mini games aren't as the technical, they look nice and the technical ability in them is good as well, but it's not as fun. I don't like how it's very stop start. It's not just continuous game after mini game after mini game. They've tried to make like a sort of open world, not open world, but like they tried to add an extra layer to it, and I don't think it needed an extra layer. It was great the way it was. So yeah, a bit disappointed. I'll give it another go. I mean, I've only played it once, as I said, and was disappointed, but I'll give it another go to fully get the idea of what they're trying to get with this. But I would say just save your time and energy and download the original. But the new one is free, so if you want a free game, Dumb Ways to Die free. And if you've not played it before, then why not just check it out? Because why not? It's only free. It's only free.
Speaking of free games, Colin.
Yeah.
On a mobile telecommunications device, I've been playing a game called King Rabbit. Have you heard of this?
You cut out a little bit. What was the first bit?
It's called King Rabbit.
King Rabbit. I've not heard of this. Tell me, is it about rabbits?
It is. You play as a king rabbit, and you're trying to get all the gold coins and save your, I guess, his girlfriend's life. It's a top-down 2D game. It's a puzzler. It reminds me a little bit of oh my god, what was that game I was obsessed with where you were the pandas trying to save the other pandas? Anyway, it's like a top-down 2D puzzler with like there's micro purchases and stuff you can do inside the game if you want. You can customize it. It's also a level builder. It's really good. It's like surprisingly challenging, and it's one of these ones where you have to keep doing levels over and over before you can work out like how to get them. Do you know what I mean?
What are you
Like
collecting?
it does. You're collecting. Well, you just need to save your girlfriend's life, but there's also gold coins you can get along the way. So if you're, feeling adventurous, you try and get all the gold coins. If not, it's no biggie. Yeah, I'm really into it. It's better than I thought it would be, for sure.
Yeah, that's good.
And how much King Rabbit, and it's free.
It was free.
It's free, yeah.
Oh,
free.
Oh boy, I like free. That I can just about cope with a free game.
Yeah, you'd like it.
I've also downloaded the PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds app on my phone.
Oh, cool. How is it?
Not played it yet. It's just on my phone. It's there ready to go. But I've just not. I don't know. Like I feel that's why I've not touched Fortnite on my phone for a while, because it's not like a pick up and play game, is it? It's something you have to actually put some time into. You have to be like sat comfortably. Yeah. You can't just like pick it up, have a quick game and drop it. You have to, take part in a massive game. So I might give it a go tonight because I've not played it yet.
We should say as well, Fortnite is now free for everyone if you're playing on an iOS device. Yeah. They've released it out. Well, it's still in beta, obviously, but now it's not invite only. Anyone can download it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a surprise that it's come out so quick, really, to everyone. So it's good, exciting. But I'm going to try the PlayerUnknown Battleground, see if that's any good. I might try that later, actually. Also, I'm playing Rocket League again. You can get back on Rocket League.
Yeah, the Rocket League update is meant to be really good. The Switch subreddit are going mad over that.
Whoa. If they're going mad over it, you know it's good. Can I just very quickly give you some PlayStation Vita news? Because it's not giving you any Vita news in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So a game has been announced. Well, it's not been announced. We knew it was coming, but we finally got a release window for a little game called Chasm, or Chasm, which is probably how it's pronounced because I can't pronounce words.
I can't. A little game called Chasma.
Chiasm. I think the C is silent, or it's French or something like that. Anyway, Chasm. So that's coming to PlayStation Vita this summer. So why this is exciting and why you should care. This has been in the works since 2014, which, if you can believe it, is 4 years ago. And this was initially funded through Kickstarter. We've actually heard nothing about this since 2014 when they released a sneak peek. So it's 5 years in development, and it's finally getting a release window, which is this summer. It's an action-adventure game which you play as a new recruit undertaking your first mission for the Gildian Kingdom. This was announced via the PlayStation blog, where the developers, I think I saw that there's only 5 members in this team of developers. And I mean, it must be, you don't know whether they've been working on other games for the past 5 years, but think how it must feel if you've just been working on the one game for 5 years. That sense of achievement when it's finally released into the wild must be absolutely incredible. So I really hope this does well. It looks very nice. There's a few GIFs and a few videos on the PlayStation blog, which we'll link here. So yeah, it looks really nice. I'm always into this. I'm always keen on the side scrollers, and the art style looks perfect for the PlayStation Vita. Very colourful, very. It looks like another game I played a couple of years ago called Grand Kingdom, which was a RPG. Which was like very cartoony, but then very gothic and very cool. So look out for this. It's called Chasm. It's not called Chihasm. It's not called Chisholm. It's called Chasm. And if you've been excited, I'm interested. I'll be really interested to know whether we've spoken about this game before, because we've been doing this podcast a long time. I would imagine that at some point in the past we have brought this up. Chasm.
I feel like we must have done when it was first announced.
Yeah, but it's nice to see that the developers obviously promised that it would come to Vita, and they are standing by that. When obviously, I've been saying it for a while, Vita potentially not on the top of everybody's buy list at the moment, or ever again. But it's good that it's coming out, and it's also going to be out on PlayStation 4 as well. It's not just Vita. I'm also still waiting to hear for more news on Papers, Please, which was coming to Vita.
Waiting a while, I expect.
Well, he did say it's definitely coming, didn't he? A couple of months ago, we spoke about this. But it's not on Switch, is it? Because I would love to play it. And if it was on Switch, I'd be well keen. Okay. Oh, whilst we're talking about random gaming news that has no relevance, and I just want to talk about something new, did you hear the little Easter egg that potentially, I know it's been rumored for a while, about the Spyro the Dragon trilogy?
Oh, with people getting the eggs. These eggs in the post.
Yeah, so I saw it on GameSpot, I think it was, where their offices, they received this strange package. It was a purple egg, And there was some message with it about which hinted
And
towards the
Papers,
game being
sorry,
nice.
Papers, Please is on Vita.
Oh, it's not, is
It's
it?
out. Yeah,
When did that
it's
come
been
out?
out since December last year.
Oh wait, no, I think I do remember this. I think I spoke about it and said it was too expensive.
It's £7.50.
Oh my god, rip off, I tell you. But it's weird. I've got to the point now. Now I've got my Switch. Like all the games I wanted out on Vita, I now just want to come out and play on Nintendo Switch. You know, 'cause I'm not sure I'll just play it on there. Nicer screen. Well, there you go. I knew we'd spoken about it, but yeah, should probably do my research before. I don't do. I should do more research really. But we did speak about this, and I probably made some comment about the price, which is probably why I've still not played it. Anyway, Spyro the Dragon. Easter eggs still not confirmed, but I think it's pretty much guaranteed that we're going to get a remastered, especially because of how well the Crash Bandicoot remaster did on PlayStation and the fact that's coming to all the other platforms in a few months' time. So can't wait to play Crash Bandicoot on Switch. Really keen for that. I'll be so keen for a Spyro the Dragon trilogy. I love Spyro the Dragon. I don't know if I liked it more than Crash Bandicoot, but it was close. I think what I enjoyed more about Spyro is that there's more adventure to it. There's more exploring and finding like
it's more of like an open setting, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And I loved all the mini games. Like I think it was the third one where was it the third one where you were collecting the eggs, or was that the? It was a third one, Year of the Dragon, where you collected the eggs. I used to love the mini games with Hunter and the dragon and whoever. What other characters were there? There was Hunter, who was that stupid tiger. There were other characters. There's that bird.
Ripto or something. I didn't really play Spyro. Ripto or Riptar?
Dead to me. Ripto was the villain in the second one.
Oh,
Crash Bandicoot, Ripto's Rage, or if you're from the UK or Europe, Gateway to Glimmer. Two different names. There you go. Didn't know that, did you? Bit of knowledge for you. Ripto was a little shit. Like he had two cronies who he used for the two bosses. Then he was the last boss. And it was bloody annoying because it was one of those bosses where you defeat him, then you have to play it again and again and again because he regenerates health. You have to do 4 different boss battles at the end. And if I remember rightly, it only saved once you got past the third part of the boss fight. So if you died like towards the end of the second one or at the beginning of the third one, you had to start all the way from the beginning. So annoying, so annoying. But really keen for Spyro. Can't wait to play that. Yes. So that's my news. That's not my news. I've got more news, but I want to hear about Pokemon Go. And they finally settled some lawsuits, apparently.
Well, so in case you'd forgotten, my computer's actually botching up, so you might need to look up the articles, Colin.
I've got it here. Don't you fear.
It was last summer. There was the first kind of get together Pokemon Go event, and we actually, I mean, we talked about it at the time because it was a complete fiasco. Pokemon Go Fest, it was cool, but people couldn't play. The connections were really terrible. All this kind of stuff. It just wasn't very good for the consumer.
Yeah.
And so, as well as refunding people and giving players $100 of in-game currency, there was actually a class action lawsuit, which is when a bunch of people who have been afflicted by something get together to sue someone. And Niantic, it's come out today via TechCrunch that Niantic are settling the class action suit and paying out $1,575,000 to total, not each, obviously. And this is to cover. Basically, this is to cover the costs that people will have amounted on their way there. So it's like airfare, hotels, parking fees, car rental, mileage, this sort of stuff. There's going to be an official website for the settlement up May 25th. Sorry, next month, May 25th, with an email sent to everyone who was an attendee, and also if you were someone who claimed more than $107 in expenses, you need to keep your receipt. So this is quite an interesting thing. Obviously, it was a real big kind of shit for Niantic at the time. Like when it came out, it was very much like, is Pokemon Go on the way out? Is this going to crumble? And actually, it kind of didn't seem to affect them that badly, actually, because they bounced back after that and there was more content, and the game is a completely different beast to what it was in the summer last year.
Yeah,
but I mean, this is obviously very bad press for them. Is going to continue to be bad press, and it's probably, you would assume, it's going to discourage them from organizing events themselves now, because they do the community days, which are different, because that's kind of supported, and that's like
self-regulated.
and you go to your own park near you and play your game with people near you. There's no like come on over to whatever park in whatever city. It was very much like local for the player, and I don't think I would wonder whether they would ever kind of consider doing events like this again, just because this one was such a botch job.
No,
also, in the other little bit of Pokemon Go news, whilst we're on the topic, is that they've actually day before yesterday, well, over April Fools, they had a 8-bit mode, which looked quite fun, which was
still
like
on
a
there at the moment. Still there.
Yeah, it runs out at the end of this week.
Yeah, it's great. Really, really great April Fool's joke. It's actually really annoying. It's actually a bit annoying.
And they've also added 2 legendary Pokemons, the Dragon and Psychic types from Gen 3, Latios and Latias. And they're going to come to different countries at different times. So Latias is in Europe and Asia. Latios is in North America, South America, and Africa. And then they'll swap again at the start of May. So you've got a month to try and grab them. So as you know, it's interesting. I mean, Pokemon Go for me, we're coming up to the 2-year anniversary in July, and it's a game that really does thrive in the summer, isn't it? Like, it's quite good now, but when summer's on and you've got time off and it's nice to go outside, that's when the game really does well. So it'll be interesting for me to check back in sort of July, August time and see how much is different.
I mean, it's worth dabbing back in now a little bit, because they've got the new research update, which we spoke about last week with the tasks on the professor. They've gone live now, and they're actually really good. They do encourage you to do different aspects of Pokemon Go, like the initial missions I had, or tasks, were to collect 5 Pokemon, spin 2 Pokestops, all that. Then it gets a bit more not advanced, but a bit more to it as you progress up, and you get XP for everything you do, which is nice. About 500 XP for each one, so it's quite a hefty amount. But you do things like catch Pokemon that are affected by the weather, get 10 great throws, battle with 5 gym battles. There's a lot to it, actually, and there's different tiers, and if you work your way up and it gets more challenging, you get more XP, and then supposedly at the end of it, well, they've hinted, I've not got to the end yet, I'm still on the first bit. They've hinted towards something to do with Mew at the end, but it actually has a nice new level to it, and it's actually giving people a new incentive to actually play Pokemon Go by doing these missions, because obviously it might go a bit stale for people who are just there getting XP, trying to catch Pokemon, because obviously sometimes it's difficult to get variety of Pokemon in one area. It might be the same ones over and over again. So this is encouraging people to go back in and maybe focus on a different aspect of the game. And I'm really enjoying it. Just going back to what you said about the lawsuit being finally finalized with $1.5 million. You also said that once all the claims are done, none of the money is actually going to go back to Niantic. If all the claims come in and they've still got money left over, none of it's going to go back to Niantic. It will be donated to a charity, an organization.
Good.
Which is good and nice to hear. So that money's gone. But you have to think, I bet back in the heyday of Pokemon Go, they probably made about 1.5 million in the space of like an hour.
The money was huge, because when that game first came out, it was, I mean, obviously we were playing it, but some people listening might not have been playing it at the time, and it was massive, and obviously it continues to be. It always does well in the app charts on your phone. It's always in the top 10 whenever I go in. So
yeah, it's always going to be there. It's never going to go away. Actually, before we move on to any more news, can I quickly give you a brief review for a game?
I was hoping you were going to do this, and then I wondered why you were doing other things.
Yes, I was getting so excited. I wanted to talk about all the things all at once. So, for the past few weeks, I have been playing a game called Tesla versus Lovecraft, which is from the unique minds of 10 Tons Games. We are very keen on 10 Tons. They do a lot of puzzle games. They did the Sparkle series. They did Crimson Land, Neon Chrome, loads of amazing games like puzzle games and just games. What they're good at is they're good at making very addictive games that make you think, oh, just one more go, oh, just one more level, and you want to keep on playing. And that's what I found with Tesla versus Lovecraft. It's very similar to Crimson Land. It's a top-down arena shooter. But another thing that's amazing about 10 Tons and what they do, they take a tried and tested formula or type of game, but they try and put a spin on it by making it an interesting story. And I really appreciate the story's a bit bizarre in this one. Basically, so I hope you're sitting comfortably for this, Chris, because it's very strange. So you play as Nikola Tesla off of Elon Musk fame. Do you get the joke?
Yeah, no, it is very good. Very good.
Thank you. You play as Nikola Tesla, who is a real life person. Well, he was a real life person. He was an inventor, best known for inventions involving electricity, as far as I'm aware. You play as him. The story starts where you're doing a demonstration of your inventions, showing up to a crowd of people, but then you're gate crashed by H.P. Lovecraft, who is a famous horror author. Whose probably most famous work was Cthulhu, the big sea monster thing with the many tentacles and big teeth. Most famous for creating that. And Lovecraft isn't happy with you. He doesn't like you messing with electricity, so he shuts you down. He burns down your factory, and he unleashes all the creatures that H.P. Lovecraft ever wrote about in his books and stories. He sets them loose to attack you and destroy all your inventions. So the story is you play as Tesla, who's got all these array of awesome guns and a mech, and you've got to kill all these creatures which have been set on you by H.P. Lovecraft. It's completely bizarre, but it's so good. The execution is amazing. It looks fantastic. So you're put in the middle of a variety of different levels. So you might be in like, they're mostly outside. Well, actually, they're all outside, like graveyards, valleys, streets. And you are set upon by wave upon wave of enemy. There's a bar at the top that shows you how far you've got to go before the wave is completed and how many enemies are in the level at one time. Because once you've killed loads, more will spawn. And to stop them spawning, after a certain amount of time, Cthulhu statues will spawn. You've got to destroy those statues, which will stop them spawning. You with me so far? Yeah,
just about.
It's bizarre, but it's very addictive because there's perks you unlock. If you get to kill a certain amount of creatures, you level up, and with each level up, you can get a new perk. So if some levels last about 5-10 minutes, and it's absolutely crazy how many creatures are on the screen at one time. I should probably say I've been playing this on Nintendo Switch. I haven't actually said that yet. And it plays really well on Nintendo Switch. No frame rate issues at all. No slowdown, even when there's probably hundreds and hundreds of enemies, like firing bullets at you, firing like poison at you at one time. You get perks which help you kill enemies. You get all these guns. You have to run around and pick up guns. You start off with a very basic one, and then as you walk around the level, there'll be things to pick up. There'll be guns, there'll be shields, there'll be health increases. You can also pick up parts of a mech. Once you've got all these mech pieces, you can get a robot which has 2 huge machine guns and slaughters everything. You've only got that for about 5 to 10 seconds, though, so you have to really take advantage of that. You really need to use the perks wisely because they really do make the difference between whether you survive or don't survive. Sometimes you'll find that you'll ignore pickups on the ground because you like the gun you've got. The further you progress through, the better guns you get. So fun. I've really been loving it. The only negative I would say is the map navigation system for the levels is a bit weird. Like the levels are chosen by a map, and it's very hard to actually navigate between them. You don't know where you've got to go. It's difficult to know when the next level is and when the last one was.
Are the levels randomly generated, or are they always the same? Do you see what I mean?
I'm not too sure. I would assume they're probably the same, but I could be wrong. So I'm going to have to research. I mean, there's so many levels that you play that it's, I wouldn't probably notice between one level to the next, to be honest with you, because most levels have the same format. Oh, also something else I've not mentioned. One big feature you have, and something that you can use to your advantage, is the fact that you can teleport. You have a teleportation device, and you have up to 3 before you have to wait for it to cool down. So if you're stuck in the corner of all these enemies coming towards you, you can teleport past them like a short distance in front of you and do it 3 times to get away. And that really adds another strategic element to it. So you can teleport all these guns, get all these pickups, all these perks, and it's just good old shooting fun. But underneath that, a bit strange story, it is just a generic top-down shooter, but it's done very well. It's very addictive, very similar to Crimson Land, but I'd say it's pretty better than Crimson Land. It looks nicer. The artwork and the art style is great as well. So I've really been enjoying that. I'll definitely recommend it. That's Tesla versus Lovecraft, and that is available now on Nintendo Switch. Definitely recommend it. Go do it. Go play it.
It's that company are very good at bringing their games to Switch as well. They went through that mad couple of months last year when it was just like every single 10 tons game was getting released on Switch kind of week after week, and then they caught up with themselves.
Yeah,
and we to let you see behind the door a little bit. 10 tons has been very good at sending us codes and kind of keeping us brief with press releases and stuff. Because obviously, we're like a small fry podcast, and so it's really for us. It's really nice to have developers who trust us to review their titles, and it's been really interesting reading their press releases and the information that comes through, because it's basically consistently like, this game has sold so much better on Switch than everything else, and it's good for indie devs to be on that platform. Very briefly, I'm not going to give it a full chat because I'll save it for next week, but I've been playing a new game. Well, not a new game, but a new game for me on Twitch, which is called Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I finally bit the bullet and bought it.
Wow. Is it good?
It's worth pointing out, though, I was willing to download it from the eShop, but it was £50. And then if you bought it online, it's £33. But I've been playing that, which is a very pretty game, and I'll talk more about next week when I've had a proper chance to experience it. But the music in that title, Grant Kirkhope, who did Banjo-Kazooie back in the day and loads of different games, man, it's so good. It's so good. So I'll keep you posted on how that is.
It's quite challenging as well, isn't it? For that genre of game.
Not yet, but I suspect it will get challenging later on.
How far are you into it?
I think according to the thing that comes up at the start, I'm maybe 20%, so not very far.
Oh no. Not too good.
So yeah, it'll get hard. I mean, it's already kind of hard, but like, it's at the moment it's never hard enough. I've had to stop, like I've had to quit or look up how to do it. It's just like it's a grind. I don't think I've ever actually failed a mission yet. I have died, but I've never had all of my pieces die. Let's move on to because we're running a little bit late. Let's move on to the rest of the Switch news, Colin.
Yeah, so I want to know the update on the bricking.
Yeah, so this is quite interesting. An article on Kotaku went up about the third-party Switch docking kits and how they were bricking people's Switches. And this is obviously something we talked about last week. It's to do with the USB-C port on people's consoles, making them unable to charge. And then the portable Nyko Switch dock, users of that were reporting that actually putting your Switch onto it bricked the console completely. Bugs onto it, and you can't actually use it anymore. This has come from Kotaku. But interestingly, Nintendo have actually spoken to Kotaku, and they've said basically it's to do with the update 5.0, which was pushed to devices and the use of a Nyko portable docking kit. Nintendo have received multiple calls about the devices being bricked. It's offering to repair the device if it's under warranty, which I think is probably, I want to say, a year since when you bought it. You'll have to look up in your instructions. So Nintendo are aware of the issues. They're trying to determine the exact root cause of the problem, but they believe it's related to the way Switch handles AV output for an external TV monitor whilst the console is docked on a portable docking kit. Nike are working on a solution and looking to replace malfunctioning products. And Nintendo have issued another statement to Kotaku recommending Switch owners only buy licensed Switch products, adding unlicensed product accessories do not undergo Nintendo's testing and evaluation process. They might have compatibility problems with certain games with Nintendo Switch itself and other licensed accessories and peripherals. There's more on the Kotaku article, which we'll embed. I mean, it's a real bummer for Nintendo with this, isn't it? Because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I mean, the Switch docks are very expensive, and you can see why people would want to buy a cheap alternative they can take on the go, especially a portable one. But the flip is that, I mean, if it's bricking consoles, and that's really bad news, and there's going to be people who are going to be shit out of luck on this.
Yeah, I know, it's a difficult one because we didn't actually establish the price of the third-party ones, but we saw the price of an official one, and it was around £70, wasn't it? It's not cheap.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, it kind of depends on the one. But there's, I mean, yeah, they certainly. I mean, the Nintendo ones aren't cheap, but the unofficial ones aren't traditionally very cheap either. So it's it's a bit it is slightly concerning.
Very. So, why does a company want to just make games for PlayStation?
Yeah.
PlayStation for Nintendo Switch, not PlayStation. Don't care about that.
And this is our last bit of Switch news for this week. This is big as well, actually. Level 5 have basically been interviewing. They have been interviewed, sorry, by Nikkei Trendy. This is coming via Gamatsu. And basically, the Level 5 president and CEO, Akihiro Hino, has been talking about Nintendo, their plans for Nintendo Switch, and what games Level 5 want to make. If you don't know Level 5, they make games like what's the bloody monster catching one? Professor Layton, all that sort of thing. They're big fans of the 3DS. And Hino basically, Nikkei Trendy asked him about how they're going to support Switch, and Hino said, basically, in the future, our main titles will all be released on Nintendo Switch. The idea is what we have created for 3DS will move over to Switch. Their first Switch title is The Snack World Treasurer's Gold, which comes out in Japan later on, week after next. And apparently they found it quite difficult to develop for Switch, but they are going to be hosting an event later on this year, which is going to be like a kind of almost a Nintendo Direct specifically for Level 5. They're very big Nintendo developers and obviously have made a lot of things for Nintendo. So keep your eyes peeled on this. I mean, it's big. It's it's big news because Level 5 have been like one of the really big developers and releases for games on 3DS. Yokai Watch is the monster hunting game I was thinking of. They also made Inazuma 11, a kind of sporting one. I don't know if you remember that for 3DS. Other games included things like Guild 01, obviously Professor Layton, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Fantasy Life, loads of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing them make the move to Switch, but it is quite exciting.
It is. New games on Switch or old games on Switch. Woo!
I mean, I would kill for a Professor Layton trilogy port, and I would especially kill for Professor Layton to come to Smash.
I would like Detective Pikachu on Switch.
Yeah, I reckon the sequel will be on Switch. I'm a bit surprised that they put it on 3DS. I mean, the reviews of that haven't been madly huge. Obviously, we didn't receive a review copy, but it's it's been interesting reading the reactions to that game. I might pick it up when it's a bit cheaper.
I just think it's so bizarre. I want to hear Pikachu with a Cockney accent. That's what I want.
It's all about. Got it.
Yeah. Woo. Should we get on to group chat?
Yeah. What was the subject?
What was your biggest gaming regret?
So in my head, what I was thinking for this is that, like, and I don't know what your example is, Colin, but for me, my biggest gaming regret, and it does paint me in a bit of a bad light, but you'll understand why.
Right. Let's hear it.
So when it was announced back on for PS3 in maybe 2011, something like that. I think it was 2011, maybe 2012, 2011. I was hugely excited. I was over the moon, brimming with anticipation for multiplayer arena shooter title, parkour-based game called Brink. Do you remember Brink, Colin?
I remember this. Didn't you like pre-order like the Ultimate Edition or something?
Brink was a big title for me, and it was one of the first games that I pre-ordered. Like,
didn't you pre-order?
I pre-ordered the Wazzy Collector's Edition, which was extra money. You got in-game. I can't remember what you got. I think you just got in-game items. Brink Collector's Edition. I'm just googling it. Actually,
didn't you get a statue as well?
Did I get a statue?
I think you did.
I didn't know. No, I don't. No, I don't think there was a statue. I think it was just in-game items and like extra levels and extra weapons and things. And I was so excited for this game.
I know.
I pre-ordered it from Amazon. Bear in mind, the reviews of this game, you look back on it, it's a 6 or 7 out of 10. But at the time, I was like, this is going to be like the second coming of Christ. 6 or 7 out of 10. And I had an Amazon notification the day before that was like, this game is, I think it was coming out like, say, the 11th. It was like, oh, this game will get to you by the 12th. And I was fuming. I called up Amazon. I was like, what is going on with this game? I've pre-ordered with you for such a long time. How could you do this to me? Your customer service is terrible. Blah, blah, blah. And this poor, like,
I'm trying to tell you something.
maybe Irish lady was like, oh, Chris, I'm so sorry to say that. We'll get this to you straight away, I promise. I'm really sorry for this update. Blah, blah, like. And I was like, oh, it best come tomorrow, or I'm never going to order from Amazon again. And, you know, I was so excited for this game. I was so mad about the idea of it coming a day later. And honest to God, I mean, it wasn't bad, but when it came out, you couldn't actually play online. Partly, I think either PSN was down or the Brink servers were down. It was not worth kicking off over. And I regret that so much.
What was wrong with it, Chris? Why didn't you like it?
I mean, it just didn't live up to expectations at all. It was really like, it wasn't very fun. The servers weren't very good at launch, so you couldn't. I can't remember if it was PSN or Brinkend, but you couldn't get a game in. They painted it as like this huge swag game that was actually just like 6 levels in a row. You could customize your character and stuff, but it didn't really make any difference. Yeah, it just wasn't. It just was like not worth getting in a fuss over, really. What about you? What's your biggest gaming regret?
Well, there's 2 I could go for. I think I'm going to go for the one that's probably going to cause the most controversy in this podcast. Actually, the other
you're going to say you're bloody 2DS, aren't you? I know you are.
Wow, I didn't even think about that one. No, that's a whole different kettle of fish. That one. I was going to say basically a game franchise, very popular. Have been out for quite a while, and everyone said how good it was. A new one was about to release. This is about 3-4 years ago now. I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a go because the original on Xbox 360 was only a couple of quid. So I went down to my local computer exchange, CEX, and purchased this game. And I tried for many months to get into it. I played it in dribs and drabs. I just could not get on with it. Couldn't see what the hype was. Got so bored of it. And I think I might have traded it back in and got like a penny for it or something. So this game in question is the one and only BioShock.
You're a prick. BioShock is incredible.
So I remember, I think it's BioShock Infinite was coming out, and the reviews for that were crazy good. And I'd watched loads of videos about it. And people said it was good. So I thought, you know what, let's try BioShock. And interesting start, you know, you're going underwater. And it's like, oh, this looks very cool. Oh, these big robots. Oh, these little kids. Bit strange. Not socially acceptable now, robots with kids, but there you go. So I tried. There's this crazy doctor running around trying to kill me. There was a bit where you have to do puzzles, and the puzzle's just like a crappy little plumbing game. We have to turn plumbing things around. I was just like, what the hell is this shit? What is this shit? And then there were crazy people throwing fire at me. I just didn't get it. And I thought, you know what? Rather than try and force myself to like it, I just need to accept this game is not for me. So I gave it up, moved on, and I watched the ending on YouTube like any reasonable citizen would. So I didn't have to play it. So would you kindly? There you go. That's the reference you get there.
I mean, yeah. Well done. To be fair, it's a mature decision of you to just say, if a game's not for me, a game's not for me. But man, BioShock is so good. You missed out.
What was the plumbing games about? What was that about?
It doesn't matter.
Stupid.
The plumbing doesn't matter. The rest of the game was so great.
Yeah, well, the ending was cool, but I watched it on YouTube. Anyway, another regret I have was Dead Island, which I just want to very quickly mention. Remember, I was so hyped for this. The trailer was really cool. It looked like an immersive zombie experience on an island. I bought it, and it was a load of crap. So I traded it straight back in. Paid £32 for it and got about £20 back. So not a bad investment, really.
Yeah, I remember Dead Island. I got it from Love Film back in the day. That was not
Who? Amazon. Who?
Yeah, that was not the incredible game I expected it to be. Colin, what's next week's group chat?
Oh, I have to choose, do I? I'm going to have a look through the list because we've got a little list of ones that we can choose from.
Meanwhile,
these were boring games. These are boring.
In the meanwhile, Colin, if people want to get in touch, it's at Handheld Podcast on Twitter. You can also write to us, heroesforhandheld@gmail.com. There's a Facebook page, search for Heroes for Handheld, and our website where you can listen to every single episode of this podcast is heroesforhandheld.wordpress.com. You can also read the articles there where we link to all our favorite bits of video games journalism. We link to all the articles that we talked about today, and we put, there's loads there. You can go back and listen to every episode of Heroes for Handheld, which is a really cool thing.
Right, so next week's group chat's going to be a very basic one, very simple one. But as I'm the sort of person who only ever buys or downloads free games, I want to know, what's your favorite ever free mobile game? This can be for either iOS or Android.
I hear you.
Yeah, I hear you. You caught me. You caught me. What's your favorite ever free game for iOS or Android? And it can be anything that's ever been free on the store. What's your favorite game? Why have you loved it? Which game you might still be on your phone, you never know, you might still be playing it after all these years. Which game did it take you months and months until you finally decided to delete it? Because with free games, most of the time you eventually get to a point where you think you've exhausted every part of it and you can just delete it. But what's your favorite one? Let me know. Let us know with all the contact details Chris gave him a minute ago. That's how you get in contact with us. Boom. Let's go win some money on HQ Trivia.
Good luck.
You too. Bye.
Have a good week, everyone. I will speak to you next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.